Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is BJ Tutor, and in this video let us try to solve exercise 11.2 question number 5. Okay students, so let us read question number 5. It says to find the sum of three numbers. Understood? If you want to find the sum of how many numbers? Three numbers, and the numbers are 14, 27 and 13. We can have two ways. Understood? So in order to find the sum of three numbers, right, and the three numbers are 14, 27 and 13, we can have how many ways? We can have two ways. Understood? And the first way is by finding, we may first add 14 and 27. Understood? So the first way is by adding the numbers 14 and 27 to get, and the sum of 14 and 27 is, yes, 41. And then add 13 to it to get the sum 54. Understood? So to find the sum of these three numbers, the first way is by adding 14 and 27 first. Understood? By adding 14 and 27 first. And the sum of 14 and 27 is, yes, 41. Right? And after that, we will add the remaining number. And the remaining number is 13. Right? And we will get the required sum, that is 54. So this is the first way. Understood, student? And our second way is that, what does our second way says? It says we may add 27 and 13. Understood? To get 40. So our second way is by adding 27 and 13 first. By adding 27 and 13 first. So what is the sum of 27 and 13? Yes, we will get 40. And after that, we will add the remaining number. And the remaining number is 14. Right? And we will get the same answer. That is 54. So these are the two ways of finding the sum of how many numbers? Three numbers. Right? So it says thus 14 plus 27, that is by adding 14 and 27, and after that by adding 13, the result will remain the same as by adding 27 and 13 first, and after that adding 14. They will get the same result. Understood? Have you understood the question so far? Okay. Let's continue reading the question. So students, the question further says, this can be done for any three numbers. That is the way of adding, right? We can add any three numbers in how many ways? Two ways, right? So this property is known as the associativity of addition of numbers. So we have already studied associative properties, right? So it says, express this property. This property means the associative property, okay, which we have already studied in the chapter on whole numbers. We have already studied, right, in the chapter of whole numbers, associative property of addition, in a general way by using variables. And the question is asking us, instead of using three numbers, they are asking us to use how many variables? Three variables. And the variables are A, B and C. So using these three variables, we are going to express it in a general way, and the rule is we have to apply, yes, associative property of addition. Understood? So let's try to solve. So students, the three variables which is given in the questions are, yes, the variable A, the variable B and the variable C. Understood? We have to use only these three variables. We cannot use other variables, okay, except these three variables. And we are going to use these three variables, and we are going to apply what property? Yes, associative property. Understood? Associative property of addition. We have to apply this property, associative property of addition, not other property, only this property. Okay, so do you still remember what do you mean by associative property of addition? Yes, it states that the sum of how many numbers? Yes, any three numbers remains the same irrespective of their grouping. Understood? Say for example, let us take any three numbers. So in the question they have given us three numbers, right? And those three numbers are 14, 27 and yes, 13. So these are the three numbers which is given in the question, right? And their sum remains the same irrespective of the grouping of numbers, right? So for example, if we add 14 and 27 first, and after that if we add 13 later, this result will be same to adding 27 and 13 first, and after that adding 14. Their sum, their results remains the same, right? So this is what we mean by associative property. But here, instead of using these three numbers 14, 27 and 13, we are going to use these three variables. Understood? So it's very simple. So instead of using 14, so using this 14 number 14, let us assume that we will use this variable a. Then instead of 27, we will use, yes, the variable b. And instead of 13, we will use the variable c. Right? So instead of 14, the variable that we use, what is the variable? Yes, a. Instead of 27 and instead of 13, the variables that we will use are b and c respectively, right? So if we add these two variables a and b first, and after that if we add c, this result, this value will remain the same, as adding b and c first, and after that adding a. Understood? The result will remain the same. So this is the answer. Understood, student? This is the associative property. So this is how we will express using these variables a, b and c in a associative property of addition. Understood, student?